You're listening to the Influential Conversations podcast with the property management coach and industry influence of the year, Kirk, Stafford, and guests. This series is proudly brought to you by Tappy, an Australian-first platform delivering the total property care solution to help property managers provide a world-class maintenance experience to their landlords and tenants and to save them processing time on this maintenance. In Inspection Express, the market leader in property inspection reporting and a digital signature platform to provide all your property documentation in one place, giving you a seamless approach to the way you manage properties. And Agent Dynamics, the Australian market-leading team development ecosystem to help you nurture, grow and retain your property teams since 2014. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stafford. Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of Influential Conversations. And this week my guest is the amazing and incredibly effervescent Elizabeth Hood from Rockhampton, from Elite Property Services.
Elite Real Estate.
Elite Real Estate. Okay, well, thank you. Elizabeth, really quick bio on you. You've been in business for 15 years?
7 in business, but 22 in real estate.
22 in real estate all up. Okay, well, I got the 7. That's what I did. I took the 7 off the...
Yeah, that's it.
At least my maths is working. 7 staff, that's in 7 years, 2 offices, 450 properties under management, 3 property managers, 3 amazing young women that you mother that are yours, plus another that you have adopted, I think, over the last 12 months or so. All of them around their teens, plus your business. You are, I think, the quintessential cat herder.
Well, that's one way of putting it, Kirk.
It is. I mean, you're juggling so many things, really. When you think about it, you've got parenthood, you've got the businesses, you've got staff, you've got personalities, you've got your own life to manage as well. That's a heavy load for anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're male, female, in a couple's relationship or single. That's just a bloody big load. Tell us your story.
Yeah.
Firstly, how did you come into real estate? How did you manage to land in this industry that we all find incredibly addictive once we've been in it?
It's a bit of a drug, isn't it? It was by chance, Kirk. It was definitely something that I didn't plan. I'd never really thought, real estate. At the time, I was working as a contractor to a government agency, and my contract had run out, and being newly married and needing, a job, I just started applying for some local jobs. And, I was offered 2 at the time in 2 completely different industries, and I just happened to choose real estate, and it's really just been no looking back from there. Loved it almost from day one.
Yep. Well, a lot of people, and I hear the same story, and I'm probably a little bit that way as well, although my entry into the industry was a bit planned. But I hear a lot of people say, well, I really just fell into it. Yeah. And nobody starts at the top, nobody starts in the middle. What was your first job? What did you do first?
I was a receptionist, and I was one of 2 receptionists. So it was a big company in our region, and so therefore one wasn't enough. There was 2 of us. Just literally started from the bottom, and I still find to this day it's one of the most important jobs in the industry, and it's one of the most, it's key to learn everything, about the industry. You hear and see everything from the front, don't you? So
that's right, and I've always had that view, even 20 plus years ago when I first started running offices on a large scale. I had the very firm view that the most critical role in the office was that front of house role, was the receptionist role, because you are always the first point of contact, and you've got to have, and the volume that you get as companies grow, the volume of that contact only increases exponentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're the face of the business when you're at the front, and I think it's a very underrated job, because working in that position, even now, I love sitting on the front every now and again, just to, get a glimpse of how it is. But, the rapport you build with, owners and tenants and tradies every day is just I think people take it for granted. I think it's a gift.
Yep. That's right, they do. And I think, and this is one thing that I used to remind my teams of, was that for every call that team gets individually, that has come through, has been channeled through a central point. And that central point is your reception staff. Doesn't matter if it's one or two or what it is. That's the funnel. So if the person receiving the call thinks they're busy, spare a thought for the person who's answering the call when it first comes into the office, and then all the other things that they're dealing with in their day as well.
Exactly. And you've only got to, I know this happened to me recently, like you've only got to lose your receptionist to realise how they're like the oil that just keeps everything rolling. You know, we can't be the best versions of ourselves and doing our jobs to the best of our ability when we don't have them. So, definitely it was a very big challenge at the time because it was a much bigger company. But, it was definitely something that gave me a taste for wanting to obviously grow in the industry for sure.
Well, it can't have been too bad a taste because you've obviously gone on. Where did you go from there? Was it into property management, into sales, into admin? Where did you go from reception?
Yeah, so I was a property management administrator next, and so I was basically the support person to two property managers. And then I went away and had one of my babies and my first child, and I was only gone actually 10 weeks, so I was quite, not a long time at all. And I got the phone call from the boss to say would I consider coming back and taking a portfolio on. So I was like, anyway, no experience, no nothing. Like obviously I'd just done the administration side of the job, but never left the office. And I was throwing a property at the time. We used to manage 180 to 190 properties. Like that was the average. And, you know, I just can't get over how different the industry's changed over the years. I know there's a lot more legislation in place, but saying that, I used to hand type up all my Word documents, addresses, everything, you know, sitting at my desk, typing up all my work, folding the letters. So, you know, things have definitely improved over time, but I think, it's definitely a different industry. To jump straight into that property.
Yeah, it's greatly different. I mean, we've got technology that takes a lot of that load on for us, and when we don't have tech, we've got the possibilities, and they are becoming more and more prevalent, and that's our outsourced service to do all that back end stuff. Well, I think people's expectations of us have changed greatly as well. But in terms of particularly our service levels, of our response times, and you said before, the legislation, what have you, so the knowledge that we're expected to assimilate is so much greater as well. So the pressure that's on the property manager is certainly not diminished with the amount of technology that's around. I think we've spent a fair amount of time managing that.
I think the expectations have actually increased, Kirk, and as a principal now watching my stuff as well, like I think there's definitely more pressures rather than less. And I know through the COVID process, obviously working remotely has become more widely accepted, which has been a great benefit to the industry. But then saying that, I think it comes with a negative sort of twist to that, because I think clients are expecting more and more that the agent is going to respond night or day, kids or no kids. Like it's becoming where there's not just your day job and you get your time out. I think, because we're always working from wherever we are remotely. Clients get very upset when when you're not matching that same energy, or like night or day.
Yep, that's right. It really has blurred those boundaries. I noticed that in the first national lockdown. I mean, obviously, us Southerners had a fair few more of those, but it got to the point where people, and I was getting people saying to me, well, you know, they just don't seem to care that, you know, this is my time. You say, well, you work from home, you're at home, you know, I'll pick up the phone to you whatever time suits. We've got to, I think, sort of start to define those boundaries between home life and a work life a little bit more clearly when we work. And I've got a couple of ways that I do that with some of my consulting clients, but it's a matter of managing the expectation of the client, but also of the team members themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it is an industry where it is very easy to burn out. Because the brain doesn't turn off. And, you know, like some personalities, I guess, takes that all in their stride. Like that's something that I guess they get a high out of, myself included. But I guess more often than not, it can lead to burnout very quickly. So it is still important to the agent, whatever job they're in, I think, to learn to time manage.
Yeah. How do you manage that with your team? Because I know that now you're straddling two offices, Rockhampton and Moora. and you've got staff in both offices. How do you manage so they don't falter and fall into that burnout stage?
Well, I watch energy a lot. I think energy never lies. So I try to nip things in the bud before they get to burnout point. Every now and again, obviously, it does surprise you, but more often than not, I feel like I do notice things. I do let my staff take the time off they need to take off for the sports days for their kids, or, the things that are actually important in their life. I try not to ever say no. If we can manage it, we take it all in our stride, and we're a team. I do have a big emphasis on team culture in our business. We cross-manage each other's jobs if we have to. But, look, I'm up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I love it. I'm in the office by 6, and I get a full day's work done between 6 and 9 every day. Like, it's just crazy without the interruption what I get done. So it's kind of nice because at 9 a.m. I've done a lot for the day, and it frees up the day for me to then navigate, sitting alongside a staff member, providing more training, going out and growing the business. So, it's definitely changed my life, changing my personal schedule. And then that way I can be free a little bit more if I do need to, as I said, absorb some of that if a staff member does have a kid sick or, basically we do try and help each other a little bit.
Yeah, well, and that's a really good forward way of looking at it, because once you've got away from the interruptions, it's really amazing how much work you can actually get done. I talk to a lot of people, and they say, "Oh, look, I can never get anything done. I'm all over the place." I said, "Well, set yourself up a schedule in your day, and get away from this thing, get away from the mobile. Put it away. Put it somewhere where you can't see it." Says Kirk, putting his away. But it is that. I mean, and I had a friend of mine who used to call it my electronic leash, because wherever I was, I had my phone on me, and we've got to move away from that. And there's almost I think there's a dependency, and it's not a badge of honour to say that I'm always available. It's a quick way to burn out, as you said.
Yeah. And I used to be the worst. So my notifications on my emails on my phone used to be on, and every time I'd see it I'd feel like I had to respond immediately. I only open my emails twice a day now. So, I don't even look in between. I'm hoping that if it's an emergency, someone would ring me or the staff would tell me. But it's interesting because I worked 10 years straight working every single night of the week, and we're talking late hours, long hours. And the only time I wouldn't is if I had an event on, and there's more times than not I'd come home at the end of that event and then work, if you know what I mean, till whatever time of the day. So it was only last year, so after 10 years of doing that, last year actually at ARIC, I had a revelation, if something has to change, you've got to change something. And that's when I trialled the getting up at 5 a.m. and going straight to the office at 6 and doing the 6 to the 9 time slot when no one was there. I have never worked another night ever. So it's just crazy how the hours in my day are actually less. I haven't changed, I guess, my roles. I've just changed when my time management, my focus. And so now I go home and I can I've done everything that I need to do for the day by 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So to me, it's literally changed my life. No one wants to get up at 5 a.m. and go straight into work, but I couldn't do it any other way now because it's gotten my evenings back.
Yep, that's right. And I completely get that. And yes, you're right. Nobody does want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, particularly if you're in Melbourne.
And the other thing, Kirk, this is the other thing I realised. When I used to work at night time, everyone would match my energy because everyone's sitting on the couch, so if I'm emailing them, they're emailing me back instantly. So we're having these back and forward conversations, and then everything was multiplied. Whereas at 5 in the morning, no one's emailing me.
Exactly.
I just get all the work done.
You need to, and then move on.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the same. I don't then constantly check my phone all during the day. It's I've got my designated time twice a day to do the emails.
Well, it sounds like you're one of the, I wouldn't say the rare people, but one of the few people who actually has found that formula where you've got that blending. And people keep saying work-life balance. It's not. It's always a blend where you can blend your work life with your personal life. Finish at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night. Yes, you may have done 12 hours, but you've finished that. You're then present for the things that you want to be doing with the girls, with your friends, your gym work. I know I've seen all the photos of your gym work, and I'm just going, oh, now you're making me feel lazy.
think it's like the one thing on my day that is my checkout time but it's still working. It's just more of a mental, release, I guess, going to the gym.
That's right. Yep, exactly. So what do you think, I mean, after 22 years, I mean, look, we all find it, we get to the point where we know what the job is. But what are the bits about it that you really, really like? Where do you get your joy in the job?
I love new business, like business growth. I love helping investors find, a good property, assisting them with, the things that they can do to convert it from how it is when they buy it to creating a great return. So basically seeing the potential in a property, and then giving them advice as to, where they can spend 5, 10 or 15 grand and seeing, the turnover of results on those properties. So I guess basically providing more of a guidance advisory service to investors that are not local. So they are appreciated as well because they're not on the ground. And then, just helping them choose a property, helping them get those great results and obviously facilitating marketing and renting properties and results. And I love all that. I get a high out of it for sure.
Yep. So it's really finding that value and improving the value for the client in what you do.
Yep. Because it's amazing how, like, if you can just spend, 1,000 here or 4, just a little bit, doesn't have to be huge amounts of money. It's adding the love to properties, Kirk. So many people, like, rental properties stay feeling like they're rental properties because, no one's going to take the time to say or be innovative as a property manager and say, hey, have you thought to put in modern blinds? It'll cost you $2,000, but it's going to transform the look of this property. It's just making a property not feel like a rental anymore, making it feel like it's that, it adds the love, I guess, and makes those problem results.
Yeah, and it makes, you talk about adding the love, but it certainly adds the love to the property as well. I mean, all of us have walked into houses or flats or apartments, whatever, pardon me, and think, this is a rental because there's nothing inside it that's warm.
That's correct, It's just had a lack of care for too long. And I mean, I like seeing potential in properties. I see them literally like, what would I do if I bought this property? And I often give owners I break down a list of, short, mid and long-term goals as to what you might like to achieve depending on how far you want to go. And they love it. They appreciate it because they're not getting a lot of that feedback from a lot of other agencies, like just going that bit of extra mile.
That bit of creativity and that bit of proactive advice and thinking that's going to stand them instead long term, really, because once you've done that work, you talk about modern blinds, once the blinds are in, well, they don't have to worry about them for upwards of 8 or 10 years, depending on how they stand the weather.
Yeah, I think a lot of property managers fall into a trap of, I don't know, just doing the bare basics that they can do when they turn up at a property. They just do their job. They don't think outside the box. They leave. And, sometimes there's nothing wrong that they've done. It's just, if you just added that extra value and that extra care factor, it just completely transforms and changes the client relationship that you've got with them. Like, it builds the trust because it shows them, look, if I was in your shoes, this is what I'd do, and it might cost you $2,000 or $4,000 or whatever, but this is what you're going to get out of it, and they just love it.
That's
so,
right. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that and this isn't a criticism of anyone at all, but I've been in the same situation where I've walked in, walked out, and not really thought, and then you go back later and you think, actually, if we did this, this, and this, but it's by then the moment may have gone. Why do you think there is that mindset where you just walk in, walk out, don't worry about making any recommendations? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's a time management. It stems from time management. I think a lot of people are very reactive in their job because they can't forecast the future. Like, they're too busy thinking about the next 100 emails they've got to respond to or whatever. So they're there just to do the basics, do the job, rush out. Whereas I think if they took that little bit of extra time and care factor, I think I'm all about creating clients for life, Kirk. So, like, if you as a client told me that you just wanted me for 6 months because until the better deal came along, I'd be like, I'm not a good fit for you. Like, I'd rather work with customers and clients that, really see the value, know the service we deliver. And long-term clients, unless of course I want to sell or whatever. But I'm not all about putting people offside. I want to do the best we can do to add value for them.
Yeah, that's right. And I think most of us really want that sort of relationship, but it can be difficult to create. And it comes down to, firstly, having that relationship of trust. And I know I've talked about this before, that you've got to, that takes some work to build up. And that comes with its own challenges as well, because you always got people who think they may know better, or they've got their own view, whatever it is. And until you prove yourself, that can be a difficult thing to create. It can be a difficult sort of shell to break through with some people. What have you found the challenging aspects of the job? Again, and I know what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to people.
Obviously. Well, staff's always like a challenge, because that was a big learning curve, obviously, when I opened my business. It was very easy for me to obviously just look after me and know the expectations and levels I'd set for myself. So that was, I guess, relatively easy. I think personally, my biggest challenge early in my business journey was over servicing clients. And it sounds stupid, but it was a very big problem for me, because I was so, at the time, passionate, I should say, about, delivering, such a high level of service. But it wasn't about that. It was about, I guess, feeling like, I had no time management, as in family life balance, because my emails would come on, as I said, like I'd feel like I had to respond within 5 seconds, or Sunday I'd be out meeting them, or midnight I'd be responding to them if they responded. And then the second that I thought, you know what, I'm going to put some boundaries in place, and it might take me 12 hours to respond to you, I lost some clients over it. They said, you're hot and cold. You're all hot. And then now, and I'm like, mate, I responded to you within 24 hours. Oh, but that's not what you used to do. And I was just flabbergasted, because I'd never done anything wrong by these clients. So it was really good for me to understand that sometimes in life we can overservice our clients, because we've set and not only that, I was setting these crazy high expectations of standards for my staff too, because they'd got this from Elizabeth for so long. And I never expected my staff to work those hours. So I was happy to, but I didn't. But then that's what the clients expect, because they wanted the same service I was giving them. So that was then, a lesson for me to learn how to just step back, obviously educate clients on our response delivery timeframes. When I send emails at night, I'd obviously schedule my deliveries and all of that. So that was a big lesson for me, because I just couldn't believe I was losing managements just because I'd overservice. But it is very realistic. And I listened actually to an accountant just recently, and she said she was doing that too, and she had to learn the lesson. But she said, we've got to let our customers feel like we have all the time in the world for them. And she said, often when we're sending them emails at 11 o'clock at night, you send a subconscious message that says, basically, my life's in chaos, and this is the only time I have to reply to you. So I thought that makes kind of sense. So now,
I can see that, because because you're setting an expectation that you're available no matter what time of the day or night, and it's very easy for emails to then become text messages and then to become phone calls.
Yeah,
at times that is actually when we're actually not on the clock, so to speak.
Yeah,
because we're not automatons. We're not a chatbot sitting on our web page. We're a real person with a real life outside of the work, because the work, well, we've allowed it to, but it shouldn't define who we are.
Yeah.
But it's having those boundaries that really makes it vital for us to be able to work at an optimal level, but still have a good balance with our personal life. Because if we're all work, well, we've got no balance.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think that was one thing on a personal scale I learned in the earlier days too, is, like when I'm with a client, I have a rule. I won't look at my phone at all. So it's on silent, it's off. I don't even know what's going on. And it could be things happening with, my kids, my personal life, and I wouldn't know, because I try to give that client that one-on-one respect and make them feel like, I'm giving them one undivided attention. But then I was like, why am I not doing the same when I'm at home? Like my family have to wait when I'm with a client. Why am I not making my clients wait when I'm with my family? So that's where I think it's really important, and I'm still trying to learn. It's definitely harder the other way, I think, because we kind of take our family sometimes for granted. But that's kind of what made me feel like, well, why do we do it Why do we give almost more of ourselves to people that are strangers? Well, not strangers, but you know what I mean? They're not, I guess, in our everyday life. And so, yeah, I've had to learn to sort of set segments of time anyway when I'm home.
Yeah, and I think that's only and I think that's only fair that we do sequester off periods of time that are do not disturb times. And I encourage anyone who comes to any of my sessions on time management that your phone goes to silent at 6 o'clock at night, or you don't look at your emails like you do. You look at your emails twice a day. That's it. You don't need to look at them more than that, because if it is urgent, they will call. Or someone will find some way of getting to you. But in terms of, I mean, look, we've talked about challenges of work, but when you get challenged at a personal level, when there's something internal that's challenging, how do you, and it can be work related in this regard, how do you overcome that? Where do you go to get your inspiration and your influence when things start to get a bit tough and you may be feeling a bit flat?
Yeah, good question, Kirk. Look, the answer I probably would have given you, 5 or 7 years ago is probably a different answer from today. I think in life we do evolve and we become stronger, and I'm lucky to say these days that less bothers me, touch wood, than what it used to, because I think we do become more resilient in business and like the bigger challenges that we guess. And I've obviously had a fair bit of them through both personal and business over the years, and now juggling 4 teenage kids as well. So look, I've got probably 3 very, very, I don't have a lot of friends, but I've got the 3 that I've got I'm very close with. So I'm lucky in the sense that I do go and sort of, have a little chat with them and just get, I guess, a fresh set of eyes on a situation or a bit of calming inspiration. But I am very self-motivated, Kirk. I believe when someone told me, I read an article about 7 years ago, and it said 86% of our subconscious brain automatically filters thoughts through a negative lens. So unless we are actively feeding our brain the right content, we will automatically filter whatever we receive during our day through a negative lens. Yep. So it's a bit like going to the gym. It's about what muscle we're exercising. So I actively start my day every day proactively and positively. And I kind of feel, because of the way I set my day right and what I listen to podcasts every morning. I read books. I feel like it reduces the percentage of stress and I guess those feelings of flat, vibes, and because I think we're already on the forefront. We've already decided to be, not reactive, to be very proactive. So, look, it's rare for me these days because I am so proactive in that sense. But when I do, I read, Kirk, I'll go and find a quiet spot and just, even if it's a chapter of a book, go to the gym, or ring a coach someone in the industry that has had a bit more experience than me, and and just, I guess, see what their perspective is.
Great. Yeah, that's and there's some really, really good hints in there too for others that are listening to us, because you need a multifaceted approach. But the one thing, and it's probably something for us to finish up on, because we've been going for a little while here now, Elizabeth. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But the one thing that I've found that most high functioning or high performing people have in their lives is a good group of people around them. And as you said, look, you don't have to have a room full of people. You don't have to have cast of thousands of people as your support. But if you've got some really good, tight friends that you can go to, or advisors that you can contact, that when you've got a situation that challenges you, it comes down to that the power of that community and that tribe in most people's lives that actually helps them through. And that's something that I've noticed through the entire first series and now into this series of the podcast, that everyone I've spoken to, I think, has said the same thing. So it's a really, really relevant point, and I thank you for bringing it up.
No, that's right. And I am lucky, back in the early days, on the speaking tour too, I did meet, a few of those influential people in the industry, and they did play a very influential part in my earlier days in business. So, I don't think I'd be who I was today, without them taking my calls and, the time that they've invested in me. And, it's very important, I think, to get at least one coach or a few close people around you to keep you balanced.
Well, as balanced as we can be in this industry.
It can go a bit crazy, but...
I remember a night that it was down here in Melbourne, you and Dennis and myself and There were a couple of others that were with us. I think we were all on the coffees at about 11 o'clock at night. I don't think I slept for 2 days.
It was delicious, I remember.
It wasn't coffee, I'm sorry, and Dennis will tell you this. It was the affogatos that we were on.
Yeah, he always has avocados. But didn't we have like Italian or something before then, or teppanyaki or something?
Something like that. It was in the CBD in Melbourne. I know where it was. So I had a photo of Dennis in front of one of the churches there, and we were surprised the place didn't fall down. Anyway, look, that's a story for another time. We've gone off.
It sure is.
Thank you. I am so deeply appreciative of your time and so grateful that you took the opportunity to come onto the show with me. Elizabeth Hood, Elite Property Services, or Elite Real Estate, from Rockhampton and Mara. Thank you so much for being part of this. It has been an absolute delight. And I look forward to talking to you again more away from podcasts in the very near future.
Thank you, Kirk. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to another podcast in the Influential Conversations series. This series is proudly brought to you by Tappy, helping property managers deliver a world-class maintenance experience to their landlords and tenants and providing a total property care solution. Inspection Express, the market leader in property inspection reporting and digital signature property documentation, giving you a seamless approach to the way that you manage properties. And Agent Dynamics, the Australian market-leading team development ecosystem to help you nurture, grow and retain your property teams since 2014. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time for the next in this series.